I have used this coffee maker that's meant as just a travel coffee maker thousands of times, and I'm gonna tell you everything that I like about it and the things that I don't to help you understand if this is the right coffee maker for you. So back in early 2020, I reached out to Aeropress and asked them if they'd be willing to send me this Aeropress Go to check out, and they were willing to. Of course, they didn't require me to review anything or anything like that, and I did write an article. However, I have continued to use this coffee maker so much, and I really wanted to create an updated review and a video, which I did not do at that time, because this is fantastic and I want you guys to hear about it. So let's start this off by talking a little bit about what the Aeropress Go is. And first we have to talk about what the Aeropress is. So an Aeropress is an immersion style coffee brewer. Most people that are used to an automatic coffee maker, you are probably more used to a pour over coffee maker, which essentially pours water over top of grounds and then funnels it down into your cup. The difference here is that coffee grounds are actually mixed with water in here for a period of time. And then this tube right here pushes down on it, and then it pushes coffee through a paper filter on the bottom here and through this. And what that tends to do is give a little bit more of a full body cup of coffee. However, because it's being pushed through a paper filter, it results in an extremely clean cup of coffee. And it also means that this uses no electricity whatsoever, making it a great coffee maker for on the go. The Aeropress Go, which is what this is, actually builds on that by making it even more travel friendly. It makes this part right here ever so slightly smaller. And then it also comes with other accessories like this cup that has a little top, a little stirrer, and that kind of stuff. I just can't seem to find those accessories at the moment of the time of this filming. However, that said, I have used the travel portion of this, and I have taken this on the go with me and used it in like short-term rentals and that kind of stuff, because you can never really quite trust what coffee those hotels and that kind of stuff have. So having something like this is really nice, and I have used it and it's actually worked really, really well. So now that you understand a little bit more about what the Aeropress Go is, I'm gonna go into what I do like, and then after that what I don't like, and kind of give you guys my final verdict and who this is exactly for. But that said, let's talk about what I do like about this coffee maker. First up is the quality of the coffee. I have never been more impressed with how good coffee tastes from a coffee maker than this right here. I think I really like the full-bodied taste of an immersion brew. However, I don't really like all the kind of particles and that kind of stuff that comes with that. Another kind of immersion brewer that you might be familiar with is a French press coffee maker. And French press basically just uses a little kind of metal filter that pushes it out. So it means that it has a lot more particles in there. However, because it is pushed through a paper filter on the bottom here, it cuts out a lot of that extra, what I would call mud. And so it gives you a much cleaner cup of coffee, but you still get a lot more flavor out of it because of that immersion brew. And that results in one of my favorite cups of coffee. I've used so many different coffee makers over the years and testing them out for this site and for this YouTube channel. And so far, this is the one that comes out on top for me just in flavor. So the number two thing that I like so much about this coffee maker comes down to the cleaning process. I hate cleaning coffee makers. Like, I really, really hate it. Like, that is actually something that is a make or break for me when it comes to coffee makers, is having to clean them up. Coffee grounds get everywhere. It's a pain. I really, really hate it. And there's a lot of coffee makers that just have such a cleaning process that it just isn't even worth it for me. And this is not that. Let me say, for all those people that are saying an automatic coffee maker doesn't have a cleaning process, it does. It just is kind of on the back end. Automatic coffee makers require things like descaling, which I don't know if you know that in your coffee maker. You have to run a process every so often that is a cleaning cycle, and it has to have like solutions and all that kind of stuff to make sure that all the different tubes and all the different areas inside of the coffee maker are completely clean of just buildup that happens over time from your water. And this doesn't have that, because you can literally just throw it in the dishwasher whenever you want to get it clean. And then the actual cleanup process after every brew is essentially just rinsing it off in the sink after you push the puck of coffee into the garbage can. So really quick, to talk a little bit more about the cleaning process, I have to talk about how this all works. So basically you're pushing this plunger down like we talked about a little bit earlier. And when it gets to the end here, you're done with the brew process because all of it has left the bottom of the coffee maker. But then what you do for the cleaning process is you just push a little bit harder to kind of compact what I call a puck of coffee in the bottom. And then you unscrew this cap, and then there will be a paper filter in the bottom there. And so then what you do, I dropped that. I'm gonna push this all the way through. It's a little bit harder because it's not wet. But basically you kind of heard that little pop. So that little pop, it kind of kicks the puck of coffee out into the garbage can. And then all you do is you just rinse this off and it's ready to go for your next cup of coffee. So moving on to number 3, the third reason that I really like this coffee maker is due to how quickly you can make a cup of coffee. A lot of coffee makers, especially things like mocha pots and stuff like that, can take a little while to brew the coffee. And that just isn't the case here. So essentially you're just going to boil some water in a normal kettle, and then you're going to pour coffee into the grounds. And the actual brew process, once you have boiled the water, it generally takes about a minute. So all you're doing is you're pouring it into with the coffee, you're letting it sit for about a minute, and then you're just pushing it all out. And that's the brew process. Like, it's super easy. It generally takes about a minute, and then you can boil the water while you're doing other stuff. So it's extremely quick and it's not really labor intensive. Now, the number 4 reason I like this coffee maker, yes, there's actually quite a few reasons I like this coffee maker. It comes down to portability. The Aeropress Go is amazing for portability. It all collapses down into basically this cup that we were talking about earlier. So it is about this size. So you can actually throw it into your bag. You can throw it into your suitcase or anything like that to take along with you. And so it's extremely portable. That's something you can't do with an automatic coffee maker. That's not something that you can do even with like a French press, because French presses tend to be glass. You can't do that with a mocha pot because they're metal. And this can just be knocked around. It's literally made of ABS plastic. It can be dinged, it can be thrown around, it can be thrown into the floorboards of your car, and you just really don't have to worry about it because it's made of thick plastic and it's not going to break on you. And then the last thing that I really like about this coffee maker is its versatility. So the standard way that you make coffee with one of these is that you set this on top of another cup, kind of like this right here. And then you're going to make the brew, and then you're going to take this plunger and push down. So that is kind of your standard brew process. However, if you're somebody that likes a little bit, I'd say a little bit more extracted brew like I do, you can actually flip it up on top of itself. So you actually start the brew process with this cap off. And this is actually called the inverted method. So basically you have it setting like this on your counter. You put the coffee grounds in like that. You have the plunger on the bottom here. So after you put the grounds in the top there, you then kind of make your brew, and this plunger is sitting here. And then once you're done with the brew, you put your paper filter inside of here, and then you just screw it on like that. And you let it sit for a minute, you can let it sit for 2, you can have it over extracted and extracted however much you want. And then what you do is, let's bring that cup back, you take this cup, you flip it over like that, and then you just push downwards. And it's a really easy way to do it. So there's 2 different methods that you can make here, and it's really, really versatile to be able to allow you kind of get the taste that you want. And I can tell you, you can really get different tastes out of this. In fact, there's a whole competition dedicated to making the best cup of coffee for Aeropress itself. So that gives you kind of a good idea of why I like this coffee maker, and obviously why it has become my daily driver. A quick note, there was a period of time there where I did use an automatic coffee maker just to kind of mix things up. It was somewhere in between like 6 months to a year where I was using an automatic coffee maker just because, yeah, I wanted to mix things up. However, that said, I have used this thousands of times over the past 42 months. But that leads me into my next section, which is talking about the things that I don't like about this coffee maker. The number 1 thing that I don't like about this coffee maker comes down to its size. So the original Aeropress and a lot of the other Aeropresses actually have a wider base right here. So this little plastic portion, let's see if I can get it to zoom in there or to focus there. So this little plastic piece is a little bit wider. And because it's the Aeropress Go and it needs to fit into that cup, they've kind of shortened it a little bit. And what that's actually done is make it so the platform actually doesn't fit on every coffee mug. For example, you can see here, this is my Starbucks Reserve mug. It fits perfectly on there, and you can kind of see it sits there, and then you just push down into the coffee mug and you have your brew. However, when you get things like this Clean Canteen Rise mug, it fits inside of the mug. And the original Aeropress doesn't do that. It sits on top because it has that wider base, but because it's the Go, it's a little bit more compact, but makes it so it doesn't actually work in all my coffee mugs. So when I want to use a mug like this, I have to go over and I use this coffee mug that came with it, and I use this as kind of a temporary cup, and I have to brew into that, and then I pour from there into another coffee mug. And that's a bit annoying because I'm kind of, messing up more dishes than I have to, and it just adds an extra process that I'm not a big fan of. But that said, it's not a detractor enough for me to stop using it. It's just a mild annoyance. And then the last thing that I don't super like about this Aeropress really comes down to its capacity. So because it is the Aeropress Go, again, it's a little bit more of a compact unit. It doesn't make a large cup of coffee. I generally like my cups of coffee in kind of the 12-ounce area, and this doesn't quite do that. I have to add a little bit more hot water at the end to kind of give it a cup of coffee that I prefer when it comes to capacity. So I probably would prefer to have a larger Aeropress at this point, just because I primarily do use this at home instead of on travel. And so I probably would opt for the standard one and forgo that travel portion of it, and maybe just throw this into a plastic bag and keep it safe that way. But outside of that, that really is the primary reasons that I don't like this coffee maker. And obviously I have been using this thing for years now, and months and months and months and thousands of times. And I gotta say, it's an amazing coffee maker, and by far is my favorite. But that doesn't necessarily mean it is for everyone. So who is this coffee maker for? It is for somebody that actually likes the manual process of making coffee, but may not want to go through all the extra effort of doing things like pour over, which is a little bit more labor intensive, or mocha pot, which you're dealing with tons of pressure there, or doing things like an espresso, which has a little bit more skill around it. This is kind of a fail-proof coffee maker that just kind of overall makes a fantastic cup of coffee. But if you're somebody that wants to be a little bit more technical in your coffee brew, I probably wouldn't recommend this. And if you're somebody that doesn't want any form of work in your coffee, an automatic coffee maker obviously is the one that you need to get. However, if you're somebody that wants to kind of dabble in making a manual coffee, this is a fantastic option for that, and it kind of fits in my sweet spot that I really, really, really like it, and it makes a better cup of coffee than I would get from an automatic, and it's on par with much more expensive units. So honestly, if you're just somebody that sounds like you're like me, an Aeropress might be what you want to get, and if you want the travel function, the Aeropress Go is awesome. So with that said, that is everything that you need to know about the Aeropress Go, and over the 42 months of me owning this, everything that I've learned and wanted to share with you. I do, of course, do have a full article about this one. I'll leave the link down in the description. So, and I like to keep those articles updated as I learn more and think about more. I can easily update those. So if you're reading this a little while down the road, that article might be a great resource to see if I've added anything to it that might be helpful to make a choice for you. I do also have paid links down in the description as well as the top comment. So if you are wanting to buy this and use that link, I do make a small commission if you use my link and make the purchase there. But that said, what do you guys think? Leave your thoughts down in the comments. I'd love to hear what you have to say.